Hey guys, happy Magic Monday. I wanted to get on here and do our video for our Little Mermaid card today. I hope you had a nice long weekend. I have had a restful weekend. Oops, let me turn that light on. There we go. I've got like extra lights on me now. Sorry, that wasn't the plan, but so I've had a restful weekend. It's been a long weekend, so that was nice because I work for the government, so it's a little different, you know, when it's a little different when I have my days off. And so I forgot. I just had forgotten I had today off, but I have it. So anyway, so I decided to do a Little Mermaid card today because I wanted to use my Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set and some dies and some different things I wanted to show you. So I hope you're having a really good day, and let's just get started. Okay, all right, so the stamps that I'm using today are, let me move it in a little. Oh no, I guess I gotta move it out. I'm like, wait a minute. There we go. So I wanted to use this stamp set here, the Friends Are Like Seashells, and I especially wanted to use the die, not die, the embossing folder. I don't think I've shown you guys how to do an embossing folder on this platform. Oh, and I need another piece of paper here. So here, let me push that in. Hold on. I'm needing one more piece of vanilla cardstock. There we go. So, so what happens is when you put this embossing folder inside the, you can see how there's these impressions. So this is an embossing folder. So what happens is once I run it through my little machine, well, it's not the little machine. I have to use the big machine for this. But when I run it through the machine, it's going to give this really pretty embossed texture, which I have here for our finished card, which turned out really, really pretty. And so as you can see, it's just a really nice, nice look when you put that embossing on it. And I just thought that was, it would be fun to add different elements using the mermaid from this, but using all the shells from the other to kind of combine the two. So I thought that would be a fun card to try. So we have to do a couple things before we can get to our actual stamping. I'm going to get the hardest parts out. Well, we have to stamp a couple things first. My bad. We have to stamp a couple things first. Let me use some scraps because I want to use the scraps up before I use one of my better pieces. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use the black to stamp the mermaid. I'm just grabbing these stamps one at a time. We're going to hand cut the mermaid out in a minute. That one doesn't have a die, but I'm just kind of going to go through as I have the stamps handy. Okay. Put that one to the side. So I've got my, I'm using black memento ink because I'm going to color it with blends. So you always want to use a blend. I mean, you want to use the permanent because the memento ink is permanent. And it's fade resistant, but it's, yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure this is permanent ink. No, it's not permanent, but it doesn't bleed. It doesn't bleed the same as some of our others. So I have to check on that actually. Now that I think about it, I might want to check before I make that assumption. So, and then I have this great, because I feel like when I stamp with other colors, I'm going to try it actually to see. Ooh, I had that open. So I'm using soft suede. I thought I had early espresso, but I don't. But soft suede is a pretty dark color. Oh, there was a hair on it. Oh, you won't see it once it's cut out, so that's okay. I love sand dollars. I just love sand dollars. And we're gonna do this little shell. And I'm gonna stamp it off first. and then stamp it because I wanted just a little bit lighter. This is closer to like a crumb cake color when you stamp it the second time, but I don't have crumb cake, so I'm doing my making best. Oh, I need this. I think no, I'm done with the brown. I think, yeah, I'm done with the soft suede. So we're done with that one. So now we're gonna take the Mossy Meadow, and I'm gonna stamp my seaweed in 2 different colors. So I'm gonna stamp the fern looking, it's still seaweed, but I'm gonna stamp the fern looking one in Mossy Meadow, and then I'm gonna stamp the other it's just different types of seaweed, because you know seaweed can be kind of bulbous like this with like a fern look to it, and then it can also be like just long stringy grass, and that's the difference between the two. There was a little hair there. And so we're gonna go ahead and this is Old Olive that I'm stamping the other piece. You see, I just wanted 2 different colors of green. Technically they're really close together, they're cousins, you know, of the same. But I thought, well, I'm gonna throw these in, and that way we're good. Let me put these away so I'm good. And then I need to run this through the machine. And so let me move everything aside just so that I don't put my card on it or anything. So now I have to get the larger machine out. So I showed you the mini Stamp Cut and Emboss. So the mini Stamp Cut and Emboss was that tiny little toaster one, but you can see from this one, if I lift it up just a tiny bit, I don't want to lift it up too high because then you'll see like my whole desk. But you can see this is like a regular size toaster essentially, you know, it's really large, you know, so it's a larger machine, but you need this in order to do the embossing folders, okay? And that's why the larger machine, but it's kind of bulky, so that's why I love that mini one. And I was telling you guys about the deal that we have right now, where if you sign up on my team, you can, if you sign up on my team, you can get the mini one plus $175 worth of products you get $261 worth of products for only $129. And so it was a really good deal. And so here are the dies. Let me grab the dies really quick. Oh, I have to grab the other folder too so I can do that. Okay, so you've seen me do the dies before. And so this shouldn't be a big surprise. So these are the dies that come with the Seashell. And they work double time. Oops, come on. It's like stuck in there. That's what I get for not having them out and handy. So let me get out the seashells and the ferns. And this large one actually fits over the embossing folder and will cut out the larger shells from the stamp set as well as the larger shells from the embossing folder. So that, excuse me. So that's just something to be aware of. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me grab some tape here. So where'd it go? Oh no. I had the tape. Oh, there it is. I pulled it out already. I always put a little bit, because I stamped, I always put a little bit of washi tape down to hold my my die pieces, because I stamped them. I don't want them to move last minute. We had a magnetic plate for some of these, but I don't think we do now because there was some manufacturing issues. Okay, I'm just gonna do it one at a time. It's not working. I was trying to do 2 at once, but because I'm talking, it's not working. And so And the washi tape's just to hold in place so that it doesn't slide. Because, you know, when you start moving the machine, oops, I gotta turn it around. When you start moving the machine, you know, things slide around. It's normal. So you just want to make sure that you have, and you'll be able to like figure out how the die goes down. It fits like a perfect little glove around your image. You just don't want to press too hard on the washi tape onto the stamped image, because sometimes what'll happen is the stamped, what'll happen is the tape will, sometimes if the washi tape is too strong, it'll rip up your stamped image. Oops, there we go. And so sometimes I do these ahead of time to just save time on our video, but I didn't this time. I thought, no, I'm gonna do it all, you know, together, since I already had to get the big machine out anyway. So normally I would do these little ones on the mini machine because they're so small. You know, they'd be perfect for the mini machine because they're just tiny little pieces. But the larger one I have to do with the big machine. Okay, so for the embossing folder, it tells you on here exactly, see how there's this white piece? Let's see, whoops. You see how there's this white piece here? So this is the block that shows you what to do. So you see it has, I need the one block, and then I put my folder, and then I put the 4 piece that goes on top. That's how I know how to do it. When I was doing the other one, I put the 1, and then it tells me to put a 2, and then put my a 3, and then I put my little image and die, and then I put the other 3. You have to have 2 of the 3, like a little sandwich. So I need my 1, and I need my embossing folder, which I showed you guys a little bit ago. And I just want to make sure it lines up on the line. See, there's a little line here on the bottom of the embossing folder, so you line up your little cardstock with it. Whoops. That's just to make sure you get it straight. It's not a huge deal. This piece of cardstock is 4 1/4 by, it's 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay. And so I'm just going to put it on here. I put it on the little white piece. You can't really see because the computer's in the way. Let me run it through. And then I put the gray one on the top. And I put the hinged edge in. Okay, so the hinge always goes in first. And then you put your other piece on top. So I'm going to run it through. And see, it slides right through. I guess I could have shown you the opposite way, so it's coming in, but so yeah. So, and now you can see, so here's my textured piece. And so let me set these down for a second so I can show you the dies just real quick. Now this is the big machine, remember? So this is the machine that's for the larger projects or the larger dies. And when you get dies, when you look dies up on the website, it'll show you. So let me get this giant one off. So this one is this like seashells, like friends are like seashells. So as you can see, if I line this up, it'll cut out these 3 big seashells, which are also right here. So this one and this one are these larger ones, I believe. I could be wrong. No, they are. Yeah. Okay, they are. Yeah, see. So I just wanted to double check. Sometimes the top of the case is not shown to scale. So this is a stamp as well. So I could have stamped and then added the embossing folder over the top. And then, you know, it'll cut out these 3 large shells. Oh, as well as this shell here. So it also cut out this larger clam as well. So there's 3 shells that I can cut out with this big die. And it has really intricate little seaweed that gets cut out and makes all these extra shapes. So what I could do is I could cut this in green, so all my seaweed is in green, but then my shells would be white on the top. You see, so there's a lot of options with this particular die set. I happen to get the dies and the I got the dies and the embossing folder to match because I felt like this embossing folder was really worth the money. And so, and then I usually have little magnets to put all my dies back. No, 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 no. You're not going to get on here now. Typical kitty wants to get all up in my grill. And of course, it's only right now that I'm on camera that he's like, oh, I need to be with you right now this second. But a minute ago, he didn't even know I was alive. So, and so all the little seaweed pieces. Just be gentle when you're taking your washi tape off because you don't want to rip your stamped image. Which I might have done here. Nope, I didn't. I thought I did for a second. There we go. I'll just put all my little pieces back. Now, normally I have a magnet sheet, which you guys have seen on a few of my other dies, so that, you know, it's easier to handle. So I'm not sliding it in and out of here. But so it's a pretty cool die. And it's kind of an expensive bundle. So especially if you were going to get that deal where you get the mini stamp cut and emboss. Now this one and the embossing folder will not fit that small machine. You need the big machine to use these. But you could cut out all the other pieces with the small machine. It's just you know, I don't use the larger machine as much as I use the mini one. Let's just say that. I don't usually get into a lot of these intricate details, but some are really worth it. And so I have both. But granted, I also do videos for you guys. So, you know, I have a different place for my needs of what is necessary. So remember, I'm using the Pure Magic and the Friends Are Like Seashells. Now this has 23 stamps in it. It has so many stamps. It's really a nice stamp set. Lots of options. Okay, let me take my little shells, set them to the side there for a second. Take all my little washi tape to the side. Now I'm going to color, excuse me. I'm going to color this mermaid here, and I have a bunch of markers that I got out. Oh, and I had also cut out with the circles. I had also cut out, I believe this is a 2-inch circle. No, it's almost 2 1/8, I think. It's like 2 1/8 for this circle. And so it was this second one down here. So that was the circle dies. All right, that's good. Okay. So before I get started, I wanted to make sure I drew, to get the little bikini for the Little Mermaid, I actually just took my black Stampin' Write marker and I literally just kind of, because I needed her to have like a bikini top. Technically the stamp doesn't have, it doesn't have a bikini. It's got like a bodice, like a full bodice. And so I chose to do it the other way. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to take my, oh, and I was going to do that real quick. Let's stamp this real quick and see. Oh, no, yeah, I'll see on the other. Okay, so I went ahead and I'm going to take, this is the dark Highland Heather, and I'm just going to color her little bodice here, the purple. It's not seashells, but you know, it's Disney inspired. And the light Highland Heather, I'm going to use just on this tiny little stripe that's on the top of her bodice. And then I'll do the red last. For the green, I took 2 different greens. Oops, there's one green that I'm missing. I think I put it back. Yeah. Yeah. So what I did was I actually had taken the light granny apple green and I was coloring like her whole tail. And I think I'm still going to do that because it just makes it a little easier and then I don't miss any scales. It makes it a little less tedious. I colored her whole scales, all her scales and her tail with the light granny apple green because I didn't want it too bright. Okay. I didn't want it too bright, but I wanted just a little. Then I'm taking this light old olive and I'm just going to color in a few scales with the different green. And so I had started with like trying to make a pattern, but that actually did not work. It actually looked like checkerboard at least at some point. So it made more sense. And so let me add a few. Oops, I went out of the lines. And then I'm going to take the light shaded spruce and I'm going to add that to several scales as well. And so it darkens the shaded spruce, but it also allows me to add that little bit of texture in there. I think I need a few more of these to be you know what, I went out of the lines, but you know what, I have my color lifter. So the color lifter, if you catch it just right, it'll fade. It's like pure alcohol, so it fades out the spot that you put in directly under. Okay, light old olive again. And let me add a couple more old olive scales. Like I said, I didn't do it. I had started out with like a little pattern on the other one and it just got so tedious to the point where it didn't work. It looked funny. And so it was made more sense to just stick with what I had. So, all right. And then we're done with the basic black. So we're good. Okay, so now for the skin, I use the 1000 for her skin tone because she's a pretty fair pink type skin mermaid. I've been pretty lazy today. I did not do much. I was much more productive. It was funny as yesterday, but today I was just not feeling it. Darn, it's doing that little flashing again. And I've deleted a ton of things from my phone. It's the app. The app, or it's because my phone isn't that old. It's only a year old. But, you know, they keep upgrading the phone to the point where they keep upgrading it to the point where it kind of messes things up, where it won't keep up with the technology. I might delete a couple apps maybe, see if that helps, but I don't think it's going to help. Okay, so then I'm going to use the dark real red for her hair. And I'm using the bullet tip. I've been using the bullet tip on everything because it's so detailed. And I'm going to color her head with the dark real red because I want the red. But oops. It's tricky. That one I went out of the lines. Darn, I went out of the lines there too. And then you take I'm going to take the light cherry cobbler and just fill in a couple of these. It just adds a little texture. Darn, I'm so anxious and nervous. I'm coloring out of the lines. And the color lifter won't work as well on red. It just doesn't, because red, as you know, is just such a, it just bleeds, you know, so. It doesn't really pick it up when it's red. It actually looks worse now, I think, but that's okay. So then for the mermaid, I have to cut out by hand because there's no die for it. So for her, I just have to cut her out by hand. But remember, you move the paper, not the scissors. Okay. Okay. And you try not to let it go, but sometimes you do, because I didn't want all the excess paper hanging on. Just got to be careful around your hair. Oops, I bent it. She's a little detailed, so it's a little tricky. If you don't want to cut her out, the other trick is to just stamp her on a circle. You know what I mean? Like, and just keep her on a circle or some other shape. But I want it trimmed around. Yeah, okay. I'm getting a little, okay. It's a little tricky. Okay, so around her hair is a little funny. I want it a little bit sharper around her hair, just a little bit. It's a little fussy, I'm not gonna lie. Call this fussy cutting. Normally I don't mind it, but this piece is a little. And you don't have to cut this intricately. I just kind of like the look. And I try to make sure that all my sharp cuts are softened a little with a rounded tip. I think I did okay. I don't know, it's not my favorite, but it looks okay. I think also because I bled with that red. So I'm not in love with that. Okay, so blinking. I think it's the streaming. It's the, it's just that streaming. I'm wondering if I meant to look at the other video to see if it recorded that way or if it's just how it streams. So let me go ahead and take, now this one is 800. These are called the natural blends. And the goal of these blends were to have different colors of browns, and mainly the focus was on skin tones, but it can actually be for anything, you know, but the focus was for skin tones, to make sure you could have a variety of different skin tones, because that was always a struggle. And also even shades for animals, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna color and see. I have a feeling that it bleeds when I use the blends with this. This is what I wanted to check with you guys and see. The blends do not leave the stripes on the, when you're coloring. You know how when you're coloring with the marker, you can see the direction that someone colored, you know, and it gets this like stripy look. Well, the blends don't do that. They really do blend, hence the name. Yeah, see, these bleed a little when you use, just a little bit. I bet you, yeah. When I hold this one up close, when I hold our actual card up close, you see how the brown, I'm gonna color the brown as well, but the dots have also bled a little bit. It's really hard to see, but when you use the blends on top of our regular ink, it can, depending on how much ink you used, you can get like a bleeding look. It's not really overt, it's just a tiny bit, but it's just something that I noticed when I was using my blends. So, all right, so now we're good with all of our pieces. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop these onto this circle. I cut this circle out of mint macaron, and I thought it would look cute to add our mermaid to a circle before I add her to the card. It just looked better. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a couple glue dots and we're going to pop our little sand dollar down. I love sand dollars. Oh, they're just so cool. I don't know why. I've just always thought they were so neat. I have a few of them here. And these little glue dots that I have here are just ones that I get from my paper pumpkin. We also have other glue dots that we sell. These are just ones that I happen to have that I'm using. You could use any kind of glue you want. The larger glue dots that we sell are a little more, make things a little more three-dimensional, which is fine. It's just not the look I was going for. And then taking our ferns. Oh, I thought I needed a stamped out shell. I didn't. I was just thinking out loud, I guess. All right, so, and I want my fern. So see, it took me a while to figure out how I wanted my pieces, and I wanted her to be off. I didn't want her to be perfectly, you could have stamped her on a larger circle. You see how she fits perfectly on a circle, you know? So what you could have done is you could have stamped this and then covered up parts of it with the mermaid, and there's different things you could have done to, you know, add the dimension, but I'm going to add a couple glue dots to the bottom of these ferns, or these seaweed pieces, just to the bottoms, because I just want them to hold. I'm going to add a second one too. I'm going to watch this through after to see if it flashes in this when you save it, or if it's just when it's streaming. I'm curious, because I do not want to get another phone. No, I think I'm going to put that there, put that there, and then I'm going to put her head to cover right where these are pressed down, and that way, you see, she's coming off. I didn't want her to be, she technically could be perfectly symmetrical in a way with circular curve, but I didn't really want that. I actually wanted it to be more popped. And so I'm just going to put a couple on her head and her hair. I'm going to put one on the top part of her tail here. And I think I need to put one here. I just have to be careful because some of them are not going to go. And I think I can put one right there. Because because I don't want her to fold down. There we go. Yeah, that's good. All right, so I just put the main ones, but you see how I keep pressing it to see, you know, like how far she's gonna hold, you know, where she's gonna sit, you know. So let me get these off. So, because what'll happen is if I don't, this is also gonna have dimensionals underneath it to adhere it to the embossing piece. So you don't want to have two different size dimensionals up on top of each other. You know what I mean? Like, just let me get her head just right. There we go. Yeah. And so you see there's none showing here, but there's also, so that what would happen is you'd have another shape. The larger dimensionals would then be popping onto the other, and it can be a little unstable unless you've done it just right. So, all right, so we've got that. And then I'm taking this Pool Party sheer ribbon is what it's called. Pool Party sheer ribbon. And this was a scrap of mint macaron that I happened to have, and then I stamped the other side, or punched it out. So I'm gonna take a piece of, oh, I should have run it through a second time because that did not get very pressed. No, I think that's right. It's gonna be covered up anyway, but it just feels like it didn't emboss it as hard. I think I needed to run it through 2 times because it's just extra detailed, just to make sure it was a little extra 3D. And so I'm gonna snip this off, tape this around the back. Yeah. Sometimes when you have a really detailed embossing folder, it's good to run it through 2 times to make sure the impression is really strong. Well, it depends on how you want, how embossed you want your piece. And so I wanted it embossed kind of strongly, so. And I'm just gonna take some Scotch tape that I have here. I just find that the tape's just, well, it's cheaper, and sometimes it's just easier to manipulate. Yeah, I think I needed to run it just 1 extra time. It doesn't look bad, it's just, I just noticed it. So then to adhere this piece, oop, it's crooked. Yeah, it's crooked. My piece is crooked, and look, it's crooked on the back even. So I just undo my Scotch tape a little bit. Let me get it straight. And then, yeah, then to adhere it to the card, you can use any kind of glue you want. I'm actually going to use some Terran tape because there's a lot of different, it's not that it needs it extra strong. I just wanted to make sure that all the bumps that I need to have glue on it, I guess. And so I'm just using Terran tape just because I know that the line of glue is just continuous. And so, let me make sure I've got the front of the card, yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna place that on the top. I mean, you could use any glue you wanted. I just happen to like the Terran tape because I know that it's gonna take all those embossed pieces and press it straight down. Then I'm gonna pop a few dimensionals on the back of this. And I had it over here in the side, but see, my ferns are kind of strong, so I actually might lean it a little bit more over. And I'm gonna put some dimensionals in the back of the circle. Oh, 2 together. Okay. And let's get this centered right here. Yeah. There we go. And I thought it would also be kind of fun to add a couple faux sea glass in the corner. I did it over in this corner. I think I might put them over in this corner over here this time. I had them up here on top of these little bubbles, but I don't know, they just didn't look right up higher when I had them before. And I tried putting a few onto the little, maybe I'll put them all only on the circle this time. I'll change it and just to see. And I felt like 3, I always do it in odd numbers. Oops, maybe not so close together. I might need to change that one. Kitty, come on, dude. Enough. No, I like them a little closer together. I just think they look better to have the 3 clustered together. Before I put them down on the actual embossed side here, but I think they look cute on the circle too. I didn't really want them on this outer circle though. I don't know. They're kind of, I go back and forth on them. And so I was considering doing a happy birthday or something on, yeah, you see how this one's much more faded than this one. I think I just didn't have it closed enough. Like this one's really embossed. I just needed to run it through 2 times to make sure all the detail went stronger. You can still see it. It's just not, it's just a little more faded than the other. Just slightly. And then for the inside, I wanted to, and the envelope, I wanted to stamp with the little seashell, with the small seashell that I had cut out. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp off and then stamp because I didn't want it too dark. Stamp off. Stamp off and stamp on. There we go. And so there's our basic card. And the sentiment that I have is that you are unique and completely amazing. And I thought about putting it on the front of the card, but I don't know. I just liked how clean it looked without any sentiment. You know, sometimes it's nice to just have a kind of plain card too. So I didn't add any sentiment. I pulled one out, but I didn't add one. I just left it. Because I don't know, sometimes it's nice not to have one. That's, you can put whatever you want. Make it a birthday card or, so yeah, or just a whatever kind of card. Or I'll add a sentiment later when I need to give the card away. And so there we go. So here are our cards and our cute little envelopes that match. And so yeah, so that was using the Pool Party sheer ribbon. And it was using this Pool Party cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I scored it at 5 1/2. This very vanilla piece, this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And this is the, what's the name of it? Seashell's 3D embossing folder. That's why it isn't standing up. The 3D embossing folders have a lot of texture. They're more intricate than some of the other embossing folders that we have. And as you can see, look at all the dimension that they have just in the image that they put here, because this is literally like a cross section of what the embossing folder looks like when it's actually truly stamped completely or used in its entirety. And so it's just a really detailed, all these little nooks and crannies on real shells were added to it. So running it through 2 times makes it a much better image. And then I use the Pure Magic stamp set and the Friends Are Like Seashells stamp set for these few little, for the sand dollars and the extras. But even the font for these are kind of nice. And actually the sentiments are much larger, because look at this, is You Are Completely Unique and Amazing. It's these are only at 75%. It's, you know, so these are not 100%. So they're much bigger than they look here on this little cover. And so they're really large sentiments, or decent sized sentiments. Happy birthday to my beautiful friend. That's a good one too. I'm so happy I found you. Wishing you the very best. Love you to the beach and back. Oh, that's cute. Friends are like seashells. You collect them along the way. Thank you. So there's some good sentiments here. And then You're Pure Magic. I believe in you. Let your wings, you let your dreams be your wings. Have a legendary birthday. All of those are good. So really good sentiments, really good card. And not as overt as I normally would have done. You know what I mean? Like, it's with the sentiment and everything, I kept it kind of subtle. And so, yeah, so it's a pretty card. And, you know, still has such a nice effect when it's done. So yeah. So yeah, good card. Thanks, Sylvia. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget that the celebration, if you order $50 in $50 increments, you get free stuff. Like, they have paper and stamp sets and all kinds of goodies when you order in $50 increments. So that's always the best option during celebration. And then, of course, joining my team, you get a huge bonus if you join my team. And we have meetings every month and we craft together and it's fun. Oops, I'm like, the stickiness on the bottom of the stand has gone away. So it's just shifting. And, it's just one of those days, guys. Like, come on. So anyway, well, thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and thanks for your support, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. All right, bye-bye.